This is an excerpt from The 4-Hour Workweek by Timothy Ferris. The Power of Pessimism, Defining the Nightmare. Quote, "Action may not always bring happiness, but there is no happiness without action." Benjamin Disraeli, former British Prime Minister. To do or not to do, to try or not to try. Most people vote no, whether they consider themselves brave or not. Uncertainty and the prospect of failure can be very scary noises in the shadows. Most people will choose unhappiness over uncertainty. For years I set goals, made resolutions to change direction, and nothing came of either. I was just as insecure and scared as the rest of the world. The simple solution came to me accidentally 4 years ago. At that time I had made more money than I knew to do it. I was making $70K or so per month, and I was completely miserable, worse than ever. I had no time, and I was working myself to death. I had started my own company, only to realize it would be nearly impossible to sell. Oops, I felt trapped and stupid at the same time. I should be able to figure this out, I thought. Why am I such an idiot? Why can't I make this work? Buckle up and stop being such a insert expletive. What's wrong with me? The truth was, nothing was wrong with me. I hadn't reached my limit. I had reached the limit of my business model at the time. It wasn't the driver, it was the vehicle. Critical mistakes in its infancy would never let me sell it. I could hire magic elves and connect my brain to a supercomputer. It didn't matter. My little baby had some serious birth defects. The question then became, how do I free myself from its Frankenstein while making it self-sustaining? How do I pry myself from the tentacles of workaholism and the fear that it would fall to pieces without my 15-hour days? How do I escape this self-made prison? A trip, I decided, sabbatical year around the world. So I took the trip, right? Well, I'll get to that. First, I felt it prudent to dance around with my shame, embarrassment, and anger for 6 months, all the while playing an endless loop of reasons why my cop-out fantasy trip could never work. One of my more productive periods, for sure. Then one day, in my bliss of envisioning how bad my future suffering would be, I hit upon a gem of an idea. It was surely a highlight of my "don't worry, be happy" phase. Why don't I decide exactly what my nightmare would be? The worst thing that could possibly happen as a result of my trip. Well, my business could fail while I'm overseas for sure. Probably would. A legal warning letter would accidentally not get forwarded and I would get sued. My business would be shut down, and inventory would spoil on the shelves while I'm picking my toes in solitary misery on some cold shore in Ireland. Crying in the rain, I imagine. My bank account would crater by 80%, and certainly my car and motorcycle in storage would be stolen. I suppose someone would probably spit on my head from a high-rise balcony while I'm feeding food scraps to a stray dog, which would then spook and bite me squarely on the face. God, life is cruel. Hard bitch.